Hey, good morning, Marty. How you doing?
Hey, Joe. Glad to be back with you and our guest today.
Yes, yes. Another chilly day to start off with. Temps down here in Delaware were in the 40s. I don't know how about up in Scranton or up in Painted Post, but it was kind of chilly. So
It's
we're
chilly.
gonna get heated up here a little bit, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the business and technology behind manufacturing automation systems, or MAS. So MAS has developed a family of customizable automated metrology and inspection systems that enable their clients to add automated inline measurements at any point in the manufacturing process. And we're going to be learning a little bit more about that as we go through this podcast today. So you can learn a little bit more about MAS by visiting our website at www.mfgautosys.com. That's mfgautosys.com. Okay, so I got Jake Cipriano here with us, the engineering manager at MAS. And as the engineering manager, his passion is to work alongside his team of highly skilled innovators to help develop disruptive technologies that enable the automation of metrology and inspection processes in advanced manufacturing systems. So, hey, how you doing there, Jake?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on this podcast today, Joe. I really appreciate it.
You bet, absolutely. So yeah, I did kick it off there. Talk a little bit about the weather. How's the foliage up there in Painted Post, New
It's
York?
beautiful. We live in a beautiful part of the country. So it's like a bowl of fruity pebbles right now. Everything's turning all sorts of beautiful colors. Yep.
I bet.
Starting to get a little cold though, but that's all right.
Yeah, it was that time of the year. Uh, so let's learn a little about you, a little bit more about you, Jake. So you started at MAS what 8 years ago or so. How
hmm
did you arrive at MAS? What did you do in the past? And let's just learn a little bit more about you.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been in automation for 17 years. It's one of those young guys who just started out early. When I was 17, I started in a machine shop at a local OEM who focused on building end-of-line packaging systems. Had the opportunity to work up through the ranks. That company, Schneider Packaging, and they focused on automated robotic cells for cartoning, case packing, palletizing. I cut my teeth there for 8 years. We built hundreds of robotic cells, and the largest, probably well-known customer base was at that time Keurig Green Mountain Coffee. So we were just building robot cells around the clock for Green Mountain. After that, I spent a short stint in Cortland, New York, working for a company called Pyrotech that focused on aluminum degassing furnaces and laundering equipment. And that's where I met my wife. And that's where my journey down to the southern tier of New York began.
Mm.
Um, yep, with that, I started looking for a job that was close to where we would be living because flex working conditions pre-COVID wasn't really a thing then.
Hmm.
Um, so I went to find a job, and yeah, I met up with the owner of MAS, and the mission statement of MAS was very much aligned with my own personal goals. There's a Christ-centered Christian company that was doing really cool work in industry and using the profits to um, help different organizations for non-for-profit type work. But I got to use the skills that I had learned over the years in automation.
Mm.
So it was a great fit up for me, and it's the company that I hope to retire from. Um, great place to work, really.
Awesome. Hey, how many employees do you have at MAS?
I don't know. We're a small company, so I think we're somewhere upwards of 20. It's between 20 and 30 people. I would have to rattle them off in my head to remember right now.
Yeah. Mostly all engineering, mostly.
Yeah, it's mainly engineering, and because we're a software company, we have quite a number of people that aren't even on site. One of my engineers has been traveling around the country this summer, living out of his camper even. So
Mm.
we really welcome a flexible work environment.
Hmm.
And being a software company, mostly software company, it's very easy for us to do that. Yep.
Yeah, so your product is a software. So let's dig into that a little bit and unpack it. What is the software platform, and what's it
Great.
do for the industry?
Yeah, great. So our focus is on software for automation. You think of a software company, typically you'll think of a point and click user application. And this is very friendly software for the user during setup, but really we've geared our software for automation. So the software is called QC Plus Core. And pre-pandemic, we decided to stand up a standard product line. We had been working in the industry for 20 years, building many custom .NET applications for defect inspection and metrology, building gauges for automation. And we realized that we could gain a lot of efficiency and have a greater reach in the market if we standardized a software platform, which is really, if you were to think about it, it's all about giving robots, PLCs, CNC machines a set of eyes and the intelligence to bring in the physical world around them and process that data to make intelligent decisions. Our tagline is software for intelligent manufacturing. So we are upping the level of automation post-processing to add many different types of sensors to an automated cell to acquire data about its real world, the parts, the environment, and then leverage that data for decision making, namely for quality control. But I could get into a lot of examples where it's more than that as well.
Hmm. So yeah, so quality control is a big thing, and so what you're trying to do in this inspection, or whether it be metrology, but is it inspecting other materials outside of metals? What explain on that a
Oh,
little bit.
great. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm not even sure of what the ratio of different types of material types would be in industry. Metal is pretty common, but you'll see a lot of, so 3D scanning for point cloud acquisition is growing. Um, Many 3D scanners probably struggle with reflective materials and translucent materials. So we've scanned everything from glass, highly reflective metals, and then everything else kind of becomes sort of easier. There's different materials that react differently to different waveforms and such. But our business model is that we're sensor agnostic. We've partnered with some key sensor companies where we can buy readily available industrial sensors. A good one of my favorites, is probably LMI's GoCator laser profilers. And the thing about this is this sensor typically you could add it to a conveyor, a different type of automated system. But what we're doing is we're bringing it to a robot, and then we manufacture, in addition to the software, we manufacture spatial tracking technology, which when you take this readily available, commercially available sensor and you put it inside this spatial tracking target, then what we can do is put that whole system onto a robot, and with a high level of accuracy, now we can start laser scanning all different types of materials at high accuracies. A good rule of thumb would be 60 microns, plus or minus 60 microns accuracy for all the points we scan. And what that allows us to do is leverage that 3D data to perform metrology and defect detection, and something we call scan to path. But you can scan certainly metals, woods, polymers, composites. Our process is that we will perform sample scanning for our customers to choose the right sensor. We're not really limited to laser scanning. We'll use cameras and other things as well, but it's all about choosing the right sensor for the material to acquire quality data.
And so I think I just heard you say, so you would then bring different types of sensors, whether it be a line scanner or cameras or whatever, and then you would do some product development, or at least develop the process, and then provide the customer with, hey, this was the best solution for what you're looking to do. Did I understand you correctly?
Yeah, so especially when we work with integrators, we will perform what we call a feasibility study. It's our upfront sales process. We have customers send their parts to us, and then what we'll do is we'll work with our network of sensor OEMs, and we'll test a number of different sensor technologies, whether it's a displacement laser, laser line profilometer, structured light, snapshot sensor, 2D image-based liquid lens, telecentric lensing, whatever sensor needed to acquire the right data, we will just configure that in our lab. We'll probably test a few different options, and then we'll come back to our customer and say, hey, this is the right sensor configuration to get data off your part. This is the stack up of components, and this is the results of our feasibility test. And we'll review the data with them. We'll exercise some measurements, or we'll identify where the defects were on the part. Or if it's an adaptive robotic pathing application, sometimes we will even exemplify the adaptive pathing in our lab, just to show capability, because a lot of people view vision applications as a black science, and there's a lot of science that's involved with it, and a lot of experience is really required. So that's what we're bringing to industry, is that experience and identifying those components up front in the sales process.
Great. So do you work directly with integrators or directly with end users, or both?
Oh, great question. So about a year and a half ago, we had a major, I would say maybe major's a bit much, but a business model shift. We felt that our technology was great, but as a small company, small software centric company, we would really be limiting ourselves to our reach in the US market if we tried going directly to end customers. And really, where we want to, the part of the sandbox that we want to play in is really the software. Whereas integrators, there's many top-notch integrators like PSA. You've got Aerobotics, Adaptech. You hear of these JR Automation. A lot of people who have niche capability in their region with their specific targeted market. Some people go after forging, some people go after aerospace, defense, automotive. Rather than trying to dilute our resources down to serve everyone directly with a total solution, we decided we will focus our efforts in providing the dress out for the robots and the software to bring our technology onto an integrator's cell. We're FANUC exclusive, so our software works with any FANUC robot with an R30IB plus controller, and we're rolling out retrofittable software for R30IA and R30IB controllers as well. Really, that's the new. It's actually great, getting us very well positioned in the market, going to market through integrators. Now, you asked end customers as well. So we don't really want to compete with our integrators doing value-added processing. But the place that we will deliver a total solution is a complete defect detection or metrology cell, a robot that's dedicated to quality assurance. In that case, that's our wheelhouse, and we will deliver a total solution there. But anytime, that doesn't mean we won't sell our dress out to an integrator for a QA application. We're happy to do that as well. So yeah, it's both end customers and integrators. We're really excited about working with integrators.
Great. So your sensors are somewhat OEM agnostic, but the robot itself is strictly FANUC then, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We are a FANUC ASI. That's not really our main business model, but that relationship is great. They are a quality robot, and we feel that we have a great avenue to highly qualified integrators. People who have been integrating hard automation for decades. That's the type of end or integrator that we want deploying our software. because they have miles of experience behind them.
Yeah, so if they're going to deploy your software, your solution, are you responsible then? Do you take that responsibility as part of the project and you sell that as a solution to an integrator and then they deliver it to the actual customer as part of an entire solution?
Yes. Oh, great question. So before we ship any of the hardware or software to the integrator, what we're going to do is we're going to, similar to an integrator would FAT their equipment for their customer, what we're going to do is we're going to set it up on one of our lab robots, and we're going to take all the actual dress out and software, dress out, by dress out I mean laser scanner, spatial tracking camera, spatial tracking target, our PC that we sell with our perpetual license of the software. We'll take that whole dress out combination, we'll put it on a lab robot, and we'll exemplify the actual work that package is going to do for the integrator at the integrator site before they ever FAT the equipment. We'll do an FAT for the integrator here.
Okay.
And that way, then we can go and support them fully knowing that it worked well in our facility before ever shipping it.
Great, great. And it's not all just robots. You have some standalone static sensors and inspection devices, right? Linear, not just.
Yeah. So I would categorize them as gauges versus robots for automation. So in the way of gauges, you think typically similar to a CMM where you have this granite structure with linear servos, vibration dampening technology, thermally stable. Before we became a FANUC integrator, before we grew in robotics, we built a number of gauges where they're either static, stationary, moving the part, moving the sensor. Mm-hmm. We have two pre-engineered versions we go to market with. One is a single axis scanner. It includes a laser scanner in basically on a stage, but it's a high precision data acquisition system, so it's used to go into a robot cell or over a conveyor. And then we have a multi-axis system called the Precision QC. So there's line QC, single axis, and Precision QC, which is a multi-axis up to 4-axis system.
Right. And you have something called a cobot QC bundle. I thought that was pretty interesting. I saw on the website and.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite products we offer. So this is a go-to direct end customer. We actually have some integrators who will resell the cobot QC because from us, there's no engineering applied on top of the sale. It's a pre-engineered system. So it's configurable between any of FANUC's CRX robots. Actually, up to the 20. The 25 is not pre-engineered, that's a custom. But so the 5 up to the 20. And then below the wrist of the robot, it comes on a smart base, which is there's only one cable you have to plug in. It's 120 volt, 15 amp standard 3-prong wall outlet. So you can take the system off a crate, plug it into a standard wall outlet, and have a automated system operational within an hour. The method of programming it, so our goal was to make this cobot, one, a low barrier to entry for an end user to get into automated metrology and defect detection, QA, but also for folks who are new to automation. You have companies in the market that they have years of experience grabbing a teach pendant and programming a robot. Then you have this, I would say, other growing market where you have companies that have been very manual operation oriented that don't have that experience. We're offering with that cobot QC, we call it push to teach. It's a static puck that goes in between the faceplate and the tool, and then a programming handle that snaps onto the robot. Somebody walks up, they just grab this, push a couple buttons to put the robot into a programming mode, and then they're teaching programs through Perl and Java right through push to teach, and they can teach an entire program without having to grab their tablet. So we'll write an entire TP program right to the robot for 3D scanning, and also an option with the Cobot QC is below this you can get a ATI tool changer for pick and place gripper, a shunt pick and place gripper, an ATI deburring and sanding tool. And obviously 3D laser scanning, because that's our niche. That's actually why we developed it, was for 3D scanning, but then added the tool changer to do value-added work as well, like deburring.
And so that only works on a cobot, that particular programming methodology, right?
Yeah, it's only FANUC CRX robots.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Marty, pretty cool stuff. What do you think?
Wow, wild. I probably already know the answer to this question based on our conversation, but Joe, I usually like to ask you this question before you invite somebody to come on the podcast. Why was Jake Cipriano an interesting person for you to bring on the PSA podcast? What interested you to bring him on? Put you on the spot now, Joe.
So number one, I had an opportunity to meet with Jake prior, and he did a presentation for the team, for the PSA team, to learn a little bit more about his technology. So number one, I love the technology that they have to offer, and Jake did such a fantastic job of presenting himself and the company and the technology that I thought he'd be great to have on the podcast.
Well,
it is really cool stuff, and we're going to get in. I want to really get into Scan the Path a little bit more too, but it's really nice technology.
Why don't you again? It's Jake Cipriano, and Joe and or Jake, give us the website again where they can find out more about what we're talking about. Jake, give us your website.
Sure. So it's abbreviated for Manufacturing Automation System. So it's www.mfgautosys.com.
Got it.
Great.
Okay, Joe, back to you, man.
And then how do they get a hold of you, Jake? Or anybody from your team that would be, if they needed to get a hold of you for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'll just give out my phone number, 607-236-1302, or J Cipriano, Cipriano @mfgautosys.com.
And I'll also say that Jake is on LinkedIn. Whether or not he likes to use LinkedIn or not, I don't know, but I did find him there. And so if anybody wants to look him up on LinkedIn, you can do that also. Okay, Joe.
All right. Jake, do you guys do any trade shows or any events like that?
Yeah, we last year we did 5, everything from Stuttgart, the control show in Stuttgart, Germany, to Biztech, IMTS. It's blurring in my mind all of a sudden, but the next one we have, Automate. The next one we have coming up, I'm really excited about. We get to jointly exhibit with one of our new partner integrators, Aerobotics. Really excited about this relationship we've been building with Aerobotics. They are a company that focuses in 2 of our targeted markets, which is aerospace and defense. They have a really neat AMR, so that's a robot on a AGV, and we're performing Scan to Path on a mock-up missile at Aerodef in Long Beach, California here, actually coming up really soon.
Mm-hmm.
Show opens November 7th, and we'll be on the floor with Josh Tuttle and Nathan from Aerobotics that day.
Sounds like a pretty cool project.
Yeah.
So that could be a success story. Sometimes what I like to do is we get into the podcast and get to close it up here. I like to talk a little bit about a success story. Sounds like that could be a good one. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, probably what we're most excited about is actually probably 2 things. One, our relationship with FANUC has really grown since we brought this differentiating capability to their robot cells, or to their robots, and to their integrator network. So with that, FANUC has really begun to promote us to their integrator network and introduce us. So that's how we actually got connected with Aerobotics. That's how we've been connected with other companies such as PSA and Adaptech and some others. And because of that, we've had a lot of good reach into the market through Fanuc. But the thing I'm probably even more excited about recently has been just the relationship we've been building with integrators. Sales cycle on automated systems can be long, can be 6 to 18 months, right? Anyone who's trying to go to quote or just gets into the top of the funnel with a end customer who has an automated system. Well, with that, and our shift in business model to work with integrators about a year and a half ago, we're just starting to see some of that fruit of transactional work with integrators. But the leading metric for us is our feasibility studies. So we've had many different integrators bring us onto their customer's project. They'll have their customers send us many different samples. And in fact, probably the metric I was looking at this morning was our feasibility studies has increased 500% in a year and a half. And that's a great leading metric for us, because the more customer samples we get into 3D scan, it's going to convert into more sales. And for us, it's a quicker sale than trying to sell an entire system, because we are selling the software, the PC, the sensor, and the spatial tracking technology to go onto another person's cell. So for us, it's a lighter lift in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I've been very excited about that. AdaptTech and Aerobotics have been two of those leading integrator partners so far, and there's more. I'm hoping to connect deeper with PSA.
We are certainly interested in the technology. I think we have some use cases that could be coming up here in the near future. So really looking forward to continuing the relationship and becoming a partner with you here, Jake, in the near future, and you guys over there at MAS. So I really enjoyed having you on in the discussion today. Marty, is there anything else you'd like to share before we close it up?
I just want to mention the cool background, man. I mean, and pulling equipment right out of that set there. I mean, I'm impressed with the marketing savvy this engineer has. I'm really impressed, So, no, nothing else to say. And thanks so much, Jake. It's been a fascinating discussion. So thank you very much. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Good pleasure meeting you, Mark. Joe, thank you for inviting me on, and thank you.
You bet.